the character of Kerrigan is just so principled. She's the heart of, you know, all that is StarCraft. How was that, you know, stepping into this role? You know, I know you read, you know, a little bit about it, you know, before we got going, and certainly I geeked out on you hugely as we were recording. What do you make of this character? You know, how was this for you?
Well, first off, I have to say, it's intimidating to come into a game that, you know, and to do a job that you don't really know the history of it. I've said before, and this is the wrong room to say it, but I'm not going to pretend. I'm kind of a video game virgin in terms of playing. I've played a robot. You know, Frogger was the last game I ever played in the 80s, and I don't think I could make it past the first level. So I'm not very technologically savvy. But so it was intimidating kind of coming in, not knowing the backstory and the history and everything. And it's an honor to be up here and on this panel with everybody, because you just hear all the voices and everything. And I kind of just go out and do my thing, but I certainly don't have a whole bunch of different voices. So it's wonderful to be up here with you guys. Kerrigan, you know, from playing numerous characters on Battlestar, it wasn't threatening to come in and go, oh my gosh, I have to play 2 different characters in this. And it's an evolution. And I think the first time I came in, all I had really to go on was 2 pictures of Sarah and then the Queen of Blades. And Sarah
Guys,
just looks...
can you make up your mind on which, you know?
Yeah, and she looks so sweet and, you know, young and pretty and everything. And I'm thinking, I'm like, I got to have a little bit higher voice for this and everything. And I think that was, Andrea, you're like, no, do your voice, which is not so high and pretty, you know? And then the Queen of Blades, it's really just finding the, you know, they stem from the same person. They are the same person, and just obviously something has happened because of you, damn it. And, you know, it's really fun because you don't get to work with each other, with the other actors. So you're kind of, when you're a newbie, you come in and you're just like, okay, I have a line on the paper. And thank gosh for these guys being in the room, you know, Andrea and Chris and everything, to answer my little silly questions, or to say, no, well, that's not really what's happening. This is what's happening. And, you know, I don't know what, at the time, I didn't know what Zerg and all these things were. So, it's really important to have everybody in the room and to kind of direct you in the right way. And it's certainly fun to try and find the small differences. How do you bring in Sarah Kerrigan into Queen of Blades without, you know, completely changing it? Obviously, Sarah doesn't know anything about the Queen of Blades, so that's more kind of innocent. But then when you go to Queen of Blades, I mean, she's fun. Yeah. She's just fun to play because you get to just be that evil side. And somehow, I think I'm a fairly nice person, but somehow I do a pretty good job at bringing out evilness. And
is it very therapeutic? You know,
it's therapeutic, and yeah, I guess it saves on therapy bills.
Indeed, yeah.
Get to go to work and be mean. So yeah, so for me, it's a work in progress. I'm fairly light in the first, you know, part of this. In the first installment, I'm fairly light, so I certainly don't have a lot of the story to go on yet. But cut to next year here, and I'll have a lot more to tell you about the character per se.
Guys, you may not know, in the Wings of Liberty installment, you know, the first of the 3 chapters of StarCraft 2. Obviously, Kerrigan is the Queen of Blades, all the way through, and there are certain sequences, certain cinematics we've created where we actually flash back to StarCraft 1. I think it was Mr. Harper's clip where you saw Arcturus. Actually, it was a cinematic of the scene in StarCraft 1 where Kerrigan gets left behind, you know, to get pulled away by the Zerg, and it's kind of one of Raynor's kind of recurring nightmares, you know, that moment, you know, where everything in his life fell apart and this really great girl that he loved got taken away from him, just as she was getting interesting. And boy, did she get interesting. So a lot of the scenes Trish is talking about are kind of flashbacks where we see Sarah as she was, which was a lot of fun to write. And, you know, once again, I forgot what I was saying. Like I was really going somewhere, and then just pow, hit the wall, you know, all good. Andrea, you know, getting back to you, we haven't been avoiding you. Little, yeah. So what have your impressions been of just the arc of this thing? You know, with all these characters, right? And with this big highfalutin storyline, right? Well, you know, what has your experience been in terms of, like, I guess I want to say, you know, corralling all of these characters, right? Or compensating for the different vocal textures and just the different personalities. Like, what have you made of that? Like, what do you make of the arc of the cast?
The first thing I just want to say to all you guys out there, just so that you know, when we all kind of have a blank look on our face when Chris asks us a question, it's because there's a slap back in sound, and I understand about every fifth word you're saying.
Which is normal.
So, yeah, well, but just if we have these blank looks and we respond to a question that wasn't even...
like
Right.
It's just, so I apologize, because it's hard to understand.
Yeah, I'm used to
but I think I know what you're
so.
asking. I came into this game about a year ago. We started playing together, and so I had to learn a lot about the history of what all had happened in the past and where we were going in the future. And I just asked Chris backstage a little while ago, did he know from the very beginning when he first started creating this game what the whole arc was going to be and where we were going to end? Because it's important for us to know as performers and as a director where the peak in the story is, where the emotional arc is, what's going to happen eventually, and what do we need to foreshadow some point. It may be in the first installment and it's going to pay off in the last. And so I'm very lucky to have Chris sitting next to me every single session to keep me on course so that I know what to get from the actors. Chris is very articulate. He understands what he needs, and then he can communicate that to me, and then I can communicate it to the actors in specific acting terms that helps us all get together and get it done. We don't record the actors together. Those of you who know some of my work and know some of my backstory, I like to record in what's called ensemble records, which is I like all the actors in the room at the same time. I like to rehearse them together. I like to record them together. It gives us a really nice opportunity to have actors act and react. And you guys reacting is as much a part of what we do as anything. You want to actually be able to have the actor respond to what the other actor before them has done. We don't always have that luxury, and especially in recording for video games. So it's key that we remember what the actor before did and what the actor afterwards is going to do, so that we actually have continuity. Now, we do have the great luxury in video game recording that we have a very long production period. We actually have that chance to play. We do. We have the chance to record it once, to edit it together with the other scenes, with the other actors, play it back, and then go, you know what? We can improve that. We can make that actually make a little bit more sense by actually playing it for the actor, not only with the other actors' performances, but then with picture. So we can actually see what's physically happening. And there's a lot of tweaks and things that we can do, which is, again, not to overuse the word, but it's a luxury. It's really nice to be able to go in and fix things afterwards. And so early on in my career, I started doing video games. And then I stopped for a long time because they got to be pretty much directing 75 different versions of or and it wasn't really very challenging for me because video games got to be just a lot of slugfests. But these games that have been created by Blizzard are cinematically and theatrically so interesting and so stimulating. They are like directing a movie. And so it's Blizzard that brought me back into directing video games. And so when you see some of these scenes for this new game that's coming out, StarCraft 2, you're going to be blown away. They're stunning. And so it made all of us bring our A game. All of the actors, myself as a director, to bring the best possible theatrical work to it, and it's stimulating, it's interesting, it's wonderful, and again, I don't know if I've answered your question at all. I've just sort of gone off on a tangent, but
epic.
In fact, what we have here is a really interesting beginning, because we have several more installations to go yet before we're done.
We got years to go, baby.
We have years to go, and it's just I hope that you guys enjoy playing it, watching it, enjoying it as much as we enjoy making it. And I'll tell you, the recording sessions are intense and a tremendous amount of fun, and before I forget, I really have to thank Andrea Toyas, who does the casting and organizing of all the recording sessions, and she's just an awesome, awesome talent herself. And so please, a big shout out to Andrea Toyas.
Thank you, Andrea. Want to come back out? Ladies and gentlemen, Andrea Toyas. Guys, the lovely Andrea has informed us that we are at the point of the panel where we will take questions and give answers. Holy cow, you guys lined up fast. Let there be lights.
We can see you now.
Yay.
So there are people out there.
All right, if you guys have questions for our very talented panelists up here, let's go ahead and line up right in the center here with the spotlights.
What, brother?
I was seeing if we could ask Trisha about the Battlestar Galactica movie.
Yes, indeed.
It's like getting line.
Hi, this question is actually for Andrea. You guys have an amazing cast for StarCraft 2, and I actually wanted to ask one quick question and then a main question. Quick question is, are you also doing the stuff for Diablo 3? And then the other question is for people like myself who actually want to get into voice acting, what would you recommend? Do you do anything like that? And for StarCraft 2, you know, and working with these actors, what do you look for?
I think I understood that question, and again, it's because of the sound. I apologize.
Right.
You know, you've probably heard me answer this before, but for people who are trying to get into voice acting, the key, #1, most important thing to do is acting. You have to take acting classes if you're not just an instinctual, wonderful actor from birth. So, because it's wonderful if you can do lots of different voices. But if you can't act, you're probably a lot of fun at a party. But whether or not you can actually get employed doing voices, it's you know, questionable. So it's all about the acting. And then after you take acting classes and learn the acting terms, so you understand what motivation is and what subtext is, then you take voiceover classes to learn how to do different, everything from microphone technique, how not to pop into a microphone, how not to get wind in the microphone, how to do different voices, how to manipulate the voice so that you can use the entire range that you have. Now, you may only be able to do one voice. That doesn't mean there isn't a place for you in the animation industry. You just have to be able to do it better than anybody else. You have to be able to know how to use that voice to the absolute full extent that we might need you to use it. And then the answer that I always give about how do you actually get employed is, you know, pretty much large, expensive gifts sent directly to my office. I'm kidding. Somebody actually sent me an enormous gift basket to my office, and I had to send it back because I was just kidding when I said that. But the truth is then you put together a demo. You send your demo to agents. You hopefully find yourself a really good agent who's going to get your demo out there to all the animation companies and all the game companies. They turn us onto it. We listen to you. We bring you in. The very most important thing you need to know, you guys, is there is always room for excellence. If you are really, really good at this and you persevere and you follow your dream, there's room for you in this industry.
My question is directed to all the voice actors. Do you have your own version of the character, even though it's all illustrated already? Like when you act, it's like, do you visualize yourself, or do you see the other character?
Guys, it's actually a little, the acoustics are a little whack. It's a little hard to hear what you guys are saying. Can you get right up on the mic? How funny is that? Get right up on the mic and don't pop your piece.
Visualize yourself as the character.
Nice.
There you go.
Can you keep doing that? That was great.
There you go. He's the interpreter for the hard of hearing, I guess. Nicely done, thank you. I'll start off. Yeah. Because I, Neil Kaplan, am a smaller guy, not quite as energetic as Tychus, so I kind of put myself in that place of, you know, having no fear and cojones the size of cantaloupes kind of a thing. So yeah, I mean, I kind of do visualize that situation, and they are kind enough to bring, you know,